Now, we always say not to purchase a product with the promise of a future update that's going to make it better over time. But it is amazing that with a simple software update, something like your AirPods Pro 2, which you already own and you've had for maybe more than a year, just gets 5 brand new features that kind of change the way that you actually use your AirPods. And in this video, I want to talk about those 5 features that completely changes how AirPods function. And again, simple software update, completely free or included in that price. Let's get into it. Okay, and I want to jump right into feature number 1, but the first thing I will mention is that this update is for AirPods Pro Gen 2, but it can be the Lightning version or the USB-C version. So again, if you have the AirPods Pro 2 that released over a year ago now at this point, you will get this update over the air eventually, if you haven't already. So as I mentioned, the first update, which is probably the biggest one, is adaptive audio. So if you're an AirPods Pro user, whether it was the first or the second gen, you usually toggle between 3 basic modes, and those modes are transparency, off, and then noise cancellation. And again, it's exactly what it sounds like. Noise cancellation completely drowns out everything around you. Off is pretty much what it would sound like with no technology. And using those silicone ear tips to kind of break everything off and use that as your noise cancellation. And then transparency is when you do have those conversations, you still want to listen to music, but you still want to hear the world around you. So those are the 3 modes that come by default with AirPods Pro Gen 2. But with adaptive audio, it's kind of mixing all 3 of these together, but mainly the noise cancellation and that transparency mode. And I've been using it for a few weeks now at this point, and I will not lie to you, the first couple days when I started to use it, if you're in a bustling city like New York City or Chicago or any of those bigger cities that have a lot of noise constantly going on, the AirPods Pro got a little bit confused, but it seems that over time it learns your surroundings. The idea with adaptive audio is that you leave this mode turned on, and AirPods will know when you want that full noise cancellation versus when you want that stuff to come in. So let's say you're on the subway, you want the noise cancellation on so you don't hear all the stuff around you, but the PA comes on and lets you know what stop you're at, then that sound will come through. Same thing comes for sirens, or same thing comes with the conversation that's happening. That's why in the beginning it was a little bit off when I was in New York, because there's so many people talking, it didn't know if they were talking to me, and there's so many noises happening, it probably didn't know if it wanted me to hear those noises. But again, a week, 2 weeks went by and it got much better to the point where now I keep it on by default. In the beginning, I was actually completely turning it off and only using regular noise cancellation, but now adaptive audio has really kind of transformed. And like I said, it's going to get better over time as it learns your surroundings, as it learns kind of what you want to hear overall. So adaptive audio, again, completely free update that comes to your AirPods Pro, which actually just adds a lot more value to your AirPods. So this next one does go hand in hand with that adaptive audio. So some of the things that I was noticing when I was testing it out is that when somebody was talking to me, I would literally notice the volume rocker on my iPhone when I had my AirPods in and listening to music. The volume rocker on my iPhone would show up on the screen and would start to go down a little bit. And this is what this conversation awareness is. It's basically lowering the volume when it thinks or it knows or it recognizes that somebody's trying to have a conversation with you face to face, or any sort of conversation at you basically. So if it hears a voice that's talking to you or at you, it's going to lower the volume of whatever podcast, music, video that you're playing, and it's going to let you listen in on what's being said to you. Now, this is an option that you can turn off and on, so if you don't like it, I can see some people not really liking this because they feel like, they don't really have control of the volume that they're listening to, but I think it's something that you will get used to over time. Again, for me, it caught me by surprise, and I was wondering, why is my volume just randomly going down? Because again, in the beginning, it didn't know whether I wanted to hear all those people talking around me. But now that it's learned what I want, it does actually work much better, and it only lowers the volume when I'm actually having a conversation. So that is conversation awareness that is coming to the AirPods Pro Gen 2. Now those are the 2 big headliners for this new update. The next one is the mute and unmute, something a little bit more simple. So basically, whenever you were having phone calls or conversations through your AirPods Pro, you could actually just hang up by clicking the stem. But now you can actually change it so when you click that stem, it actually mutes you and unmutes you. I think this will be useful in multiple situations, so you don't have to pull out your iPhone whenever you want to mute yourself, because maybe you want to say something to somebody else while you're on the phone and you don't want them to hear that. So I just think it's a nice little shortcut to be able to unmute and mute yourself, to toggle that, because I never actually hang up a phone call by pressing my AirPods Pro. Either the call just ends or, I hang up on my phone, but being able to unmute and mute yourself, I personally think is a much more useful feature. Let me know what you think with a comment down below. And then the last 2 features, again, it's more on the back end a little bit. The first one is personalized volume, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to pull that up. But personalized volume is a new feature that relies on machine learning to let the AirPods understand your environmental conditions and listening preferences over time to automatically fine-tune the media experience. And again, I think all these features kind of go hand in hand because this is what was happening to me. In the beginning, it probably just had some, default setting that would encompass the most amount of people, but for me, it really wasn't working that well, and over time, the personalized volume started to kick in correctly for me. So personalized volume does come to all AirPods Pro Gen 2 as well. And then lastly, that automatic switching feature, Apple touts it as part of their ecosystem, being able to just have one pair of headphones, and then when you play on your iPhone and pause it and then play on your iPad, it's going to automatically switch to there. I have noticed that over the past 2-3 weeks, it's gotten exponentially better, especially when I'm using it with my Mac. For some reason, when I went from iPad to Mac or iPhone to Mac, the switching wasn't as seamless as you would want it to be. Again, I don't know how Apple does all this wizardry in the background, and let alone being to do this at all, it's kind of magical to a lot of people because it's part of the ecosystem, it ties with your Apple ID, it ties up with all your different iDevices, but now that automatic switching has gotten exponentially better, and I've completely noticed that, especially, like I said, switching between an iPhone and then over to your Mac, and then vice versa, being able to switch back immediately when you're done with like a Zoom call. I think it's an amazing new feature. Even though it isn't really new, it's just gotten a lot better. So again, I want to reiterate that you never want to buy a piece of hardware for the promise that it's going to come with a new software update that's going to make it that much better. But sometimes it does actually happen that way. The AirPods Pro Gen 2 were already a great piece of hardware. It's probably one of my most used Apple products because, again, aside from my phone and then my watch, the next best thing is my AirPods Pro because I use it with my watch, I use it with my iPhone, I use it with my iPad, with my MacBook Air. Like, I use it among all of my devices. So the fact that we are now getting this free over-the-air update that gives us all this new features and functionality and adds more value, it's just a cherry on top to these AirPods Pro Gen 2. And I'm gonna leave a link down below because as of right now on Amazon, at least in the US, they are on sale for $189, and that is a USB-C version. So at first I thought it was a Lightning version because they were trying to dump those and get rid of them, but the USB-C version is $189 on Amazon. I'll link that below for anybody trying to get one of those and get your hands on it. Because personally, I still have the Lightning one. I don't see myself getting the USB-C one because I don't really plug in via anything. I use MagSafe to charge these things, but maybe when the new AirPods Pro Gen 3 come out, I'll jump the gun and then get the USB-C version of that. But that's gonna do it for this video, everybody. Let me know in the comment down below. Are you excited for this? Have you gotten this update yet? The update kind of happens automatically overnight. Make sure your iPhone and your AirPods are charged, and then overnight you will be updated. I'm gonna put a screenshot of what that new update number is so you guys can go into your settings and see exactly if you guys have that new update and if you are on the latest version. But you'll be able to see in the control center the ability to turn off and on adaptive audio, and that's when you'll know that you have the latest version of the firmware update for your AirPods Pro Gen 2. But that's gonna do it, everybody. Leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so that I know you made it to the end. And if you guys wanna watch more iOS, macOS, or iPadOS videos, click on one of these right here. But until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here. Peace.